if you want to.
Yeah, Lisa is here, I think. Okay. Okay, welcome everybody. Such a nice gathering. Let's allow ourselves to really close our eyes if it's good for everybody, or just taking a deep breath. And first, for a few moments, opening up our inner body, our mind, our soul to this present moment, allowing ourselves to really connect with our thought adjusters, with connect our divine parents, thought adjusters, with connect, and allowing to really get this inspiration from above, noticing that we are not alone, that our celestial brothers and sisters are present as well in this very moment. And from this connection, from this moment of awareness in all that we are, in the beauty and the goodness that really surround us, in the love, divine love of our parents that really are present, pure into us all the time. We pray to you, beloved Father, Mother. We pray to you, our beloved Creator, Son, Jesus, our beloved Mother Spirit. First, being really grateful for this special moment that we believe, that I believe is going to mark the time that comes after that, after this. We are grateful for having given us the opportunity to serve you in this way, to have the opportunity, give the opportunity to so many brothers and sisters to do their work in their own unique way to make this moment possible. To have inspire us, support us, to have give us the strength to continue in all those moments that we thought is over, to have give us the faith that really with you everything, absolute everything is possible. We are beyond words in our hearts with the feeling of gratitude, and we know that you will continue to give us the inspiration, the strength, the love, the ideas, the resources to continue this if it is your will. We pray always, so may your will be done and not ours. So we will continue as long as we are living in this beautiful planet, going in this moment in so much turmoil, but we know that by doing this work, we are contributing to the well-being of so many brothers and sisters, and to the spread of really what is your truth. And we know that with this project, it opens the possibilities for so many, mostly the young people in this world, to really reach you, to know that beautiful message that you gave each one of us every day, and that you came to give to us so many years ago. So thank you for this opportunity, and we pray at this moment that this moment, this unique momentum, may spread like a ripple effect throughout the world, and may really spread to those who really are opening their hearts and minds to do so, and to may open the mind and hearts to the ones who are not ready yet, but they will be. I'm sure of that. So be it. Amen.
Amen, Sandra.
Amen.
That was
Amen.
beautiful.
I'll be on for an hour.
Thank you, Sandra. Before I tell you a story of how this came to be, and we show you, and we thank all the people, I don't think that there ever has been a time in my life where this is more needed, especially when I see my brothers and sisters in this country and basically all around the world going through a lot of pain and suffering. And the midwayers that really fought very hard to give us part 4 of the Urantia book. And I will just remind you that they waited for a whole year to get approval to download part 4 when everything else was ready with the Urantia book. And their request went all the way up to very high levels. I don't remember the details, but they really insisted. And I think I understand a little bit of why. And so this is the context in which we present to the world the Jesus that the Urantia book shows us in a way that is accessible to people around the world who may not be even Christians. Some of you may heard me tell this story where Sandra and I were in a wedding and we met an Israeli Jewish person. And as a joke, I said that I work for Jesus, or I actually said that I work for the most famous Jew in the world. And he didn't know that Jesus was Jewish. He said, no, you probably work for Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein was not the most famous Jew in the world. And when I said, no, it's Jesus, and he said, no, Jesus was Christian. Even that basic thing, a lot of people don't know. So this is the context in which this offering of love that we want to share with the world is coming out today. So I'm going to show you a little story presentation. And first, I want to say thank you. And if I forgot somebody, please forgive me. But I went through all the records, come up with the names of everybody who's been working on this project. But first, I want to say thank you to anybody who donated, because we could not do this work without your support. Most of the hours are volunteer hours, but there are a lot of expenses in a project like this. And we could not do this without your support. So anybody, everybody who's here and not here, this is for you and with you. So thank you. Now, this is a complicated project, excuse me. And we had 5 teams. We have 5 teams working on this project. So I mentioned the development team that Mike is leading. Lisa has been doing design work and the UI and UX. Fraser has been coding. January is a young woman who's been working with Lisa and myself. On the editorial team, Andrea and Mike have been editing. Lisa has been managing it for a while, and then Mike took over. Monica, Susan, Roland, Mary Jo, Greg, Tom, Lisa, Trudy, Martha, Rick, Tracy, Chris, all of you have been spending thousands of hours collectively writing the material that everybody else is going to read. But before all of that happened, we had to decide what we're writing about. And that was the work that Susan, Mike, Sandra, Lourdes, Sandra's mom, my mother-in-law, Godwin, Collins, and well, who did I forget, Susan? Mary Jo, I will add her here. So this is the team that actually created a model, a computer model for the part 4 of the Urantia book. And that was the beginning of this project. Then we spent some hours with the younger Urantia students, and they helped us design the software and the experience. And Lisa was heading that group together with Gary, May, Angie, Shane, Juan, Alexander, Easy, and Andre. And just recently, we started a translation team. Our first language is going to be Spanish. So Sandra is leading that team together with Lourdes, Alberto, and there's going to be many more people joining that team so we can quickly release the next version with Spanish. So let me just get this out of the way. A little bit about history. I'm going to show you that the story begins probably around 2017, but until 2021, not much was happening. So it was incubating for a long time. So the inception was a discussion that I had, or several discussions that I had with Jim English and with Gary about how to do a multimedia virtual center. And that later became the name, the Jesus Metaverse, which we then changed later. Before we started anything else, we did what I call curation, where part 4 of the Urantia book becomes a computer model. And then we took that computer model, and Gary and I designed a very crude piece of software with some people that we hired. And that was the demo. And we had that for Christmas 2 years ago, in 2021. And we showed that to the advisory board. And then it was, okay, we did that. And now what? And what happened is that Lisa, Gary's wife, saw what we were doing, and she's a professional. And she basically said, you know, guys, you did your best, but this is really not the best that we could do. And she was a little bit more blunt than that. But I think the beautiful thing that happened is that she decided that she wants to help. And she's not even a Urantia book student, which was a sign that we have something happening. And then we knew what were the next few steps to take. She led us through a process, and I'm going to show you how that process looked like. In the meanwhile, the curation was happening in the background. So Sandra and Susan and Collins and Godwin and other people were collecting that information.
We're just talking about you.
Can you mute yourself, please? And then we started setting up a writing team.
Yeah, soon, but we still haven't booked the flight.
Lisa, can you please mute Joan? She's got her mic open.
Yeah.
Lisa, can you hear me?
No, it's okay.
Okay. So we were doing always several things at the same time. So this is a timeline where you can see how things were progressing, but obviously remember that things are not linear here. Everything is happening at once. So we were building a graph, computer model, and then we started writing, and Gary started thinking about how to paint original art for this content. And then we were designing the software. And when it was time to start building it, Fraser came along, and I found him in some obscure place in a group of people that does software development that I heard about from somewhere else. So all of this is like a little breadcrumb story where our Father really leads all of us in finding the people who need to be here and the ideas and how to go step by step. Because I can tell you, none of this I could imagine when all of this started 6 years ago. So it really is like an unfolding. So what you will see today is the product of about 1 year of work. I'm going to show you today the screenshot of the first version that we released to no one because nobody was watching. But it is actually 1 year ago, November 15th, 2022. I have a screenshot of the first screen that Fraser developed. So this is a year-long development project. And just recently, we started the Spanish translation. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to create a mobile version. We're going to continue working with content production, which means writing and painting. We're going to go very strong into translations, Spanish being the first language, but I can certainly see any language that the Urantia books exist in being supported by this project. So I think anybody who would like to know Jesus from the Urantia book should be able to do just that in their language. So hopefully we can translate to all of those languages, but we will start with the ones that are the key ones. And there's some more other features, small features that we want to continue developing. But basically, we're going to produce a lot more content over time. So now I'm going to go deeper into the story and just share with you the timeline. And you can see the timeline on the left, and you can see a little title on the right, on the bottom. So this is a poster I made for the Budapest European Conference at September 2017. And all I could see is that we wanted to build some kind of a center. We wanted to spread the master's teachings to all people. And then you can see at the bottom something called the Multimedia Center. And frankly, this is all I knew. This is all I could see at the time. So we're talking 6 years ago. This Multimedia Center was not really fleshed out. So about 2 years ago in April, I was prompted after conversations that I had with Gary and many of them to make this vision statement, which is, it's called an impact filter, but it's basically like a prayer in writing. It's a way to visualize a project. So I called it a virtual MVP, which means minimum viable product. And I just sat together and said, okay, Father, give me more details. And so this came in April. And then Gary and I were working on a film, on a video, which actually the first version was 6 minutes and 6 seconds, so 6:06. And in this video, we tried to say, what is this Center for Unity? And we were seeing something at the Galilee. So we had a design of a building, and we made a 6-minute video that describes what this would be. And here you can see a screenshot from that video where we're trying to portray the fact that somebody is wearing VR goggles and watching a cinematic scene. So May 2021, this is the best that we knew. Then I had some discussions with Gary and with Jim English. And Jim said something about the metaverse. If you remember, this is way before Facebook became Meta and Mark Zuckerberg started talking about the metaverse. And so somehow he mentioned that word and it triggered me. And then I sat down in September to start writing, what is this? What is this Jesus metaverse thing? What could it be? So the first thing was just writing. And in here you can see that I already highlighted something geographic, a timeline, so something with time, and then topics and people, and then sequences. So there was the beginning of an idea. So what I did next is I sat in front of this mind map program and I started writing. And this is the way many of my ideas arrive, is like, okay, I've got something, but I don't know what. So I basically connect and dump, and then things start to organize. So I was trying to answer the question, what is this Jesus metaverse? And this is September 2021. And then this happened. And I know this is quite weird to see, so I'm going to explain to you what is it that you're seeing. This is a graph from computer science, which is basically circles and lines. And you can see that the lines have arrows, so they're basically directed lines. And what this means is a way to organize information. So I was asking myself, how can we take part 4 of the Urantia book and make something out of it, like a metaverse? And I was talking to a lot of people, and one of them mentioned that there is this technology where you can put information in the form of a graph. So the way to read this is, for example, if I look at this circle which says person, and I look at this arrow which has the words related to, and this circle which says topic, you can read this as an English sentence that says a person is related to a topic. And in the same way, you can say that a person is part of a relationship, and here's a relationship. So the innovation that started all of this project is this drawing. And the reason is, the next thing that we did is we built a tool that allows you to record in digital form something that is, when I explain to people what is it that they need to do in our data curation team, I basically took a highlighter, like a color marker, and I said, imagine you've printed the Urantia book, or you have a book that you don't mind highlighting, and you're starting to read from paper 120. And every time you see a name of a person, you take your highlighter and you just basically draw some color on it. And then you keep reading. And then you find a place. So a person will be Mary or Joseph or Jesus or Gabriel or Emmanuel or a person. And then you start reading in paper 120 about Gabriel appearing to Elizabeth. So now you say, this is something that happened. So we call this an event. So you basically write down Gabriel appeared to Elizabeth is something that happened, and we call this an event. And then you keep going and it tells you, oh, but this happened on a time. There was a place, it happened in Nazareth, and there was a date. I don't remember the date, but there was a date. So you know that this event happened here and then, and you have a date. And if you continue this exercise and you go through the entire part 4 of the Urantia book, what you will get is a book that is full of color. And if you manage to bring all these colors, information into a computer database, this is what we did. So we have thousands of circles that represent every person, every event, every place, every date, every object, something inanimate, and relationships between two people. So Jesus and Mary, Joseph and Mary, Jesus and each one of his brothers and sisters, etc., etc., etc. So we have thousands of data points, and we have those lines that connect them together that describe what is the information we can capture. And all of this is inside a computer file. So this was the innovation. And once we started doing this, we could now think of how are we going to present this information? Because obviously you understand this is not meant for humans. Nobody can understand these circles and these lines. So what is it that we could do? And this is what Gary came up with. He says, let's build a software program that has a map, that has clips, video clips, or short scenes, and has a timeline. And we actually built a prototype. And so by Christmas of 2021, we had this software running. And I hired 2 programmers from North Carolina, 2 American guys, very bright. And we did something very, very crude, and Gary designed all of this. And so we call this our first software MVP. MVP is minimum viable product, is a term used by startups to describe something that is very basic. It's not the full product, but it's something that you can play with and find out if it's valuable or not. So this is where we were in December 2021, just before Christmas. And as I told you, Lisa, Gary's wife, saw that, and she said, you guys can do a lot better. And then she joined. And then the next phase would be, okay, but what are we going to build? And at this point, I called up Angie Thurston. And I said, you know, I want to build something, and I want to target the younger generations. I want to build something that is not for Urantia book students, or not necessarily for Urantia book students, but for everybody else, and show the Jesus from the Urantia book to the world in a new way. And so what is it that young people are looking for? How can I find out? And she pointed me to this report, which was released in 2021, but written in 2020. And in the height of the pandemic, these people from the Springtide Research Institute were trying to find out what is going on with the young people and religion. And this is a 160-page report. And I purchased it, and I read it, and Lisa read it. And we basically tried to understand what is it that young people are telling whoever wants to listen about their relationship with religion. So this is beginning to answer the question, what do the users want? What is it that they will want that we can give them? So what Lisa did is she came up with 3 fictional young people, and Fiona is one of them. She gave these people a biography and goals and frustrations, and you can see even a quote that she came up with. Of course, we used the material from this report, but she also made it up. This person doesn't exist. And she made 3 of these young people with different characteristics. And we did a series of workshops that she led us through. And for this, I asked Angie and May and Shane and Juan and Alexander, who are Gen Zs and millennials. And then Gary was there and Easy was there. Easy is also millennial. Andre, myself, who are Gen Xers. Lisa was leading us. And all of us together were trying to come up with what is it that we can understand by looking at these young people. And you can see here, we were trying to understand what would she say, what would she think, how would she feel with respect to spirituality and a spiritual journey. And after that, we came up with features. What is it that they will like? And this is the first time that Lisa actually started saying, okay, we can build this and we can build this and we can build this. But of course, we had no design. We just had ideas. So in July and in August of 2022, we did several focus groups with the younger generation of Urantia Book students. And we asked them basically a lot of questions, and we did a lot of brainstorming. And this is what arrived. This is what Lisa came up with. And we still call this the Jesus Metaverse. And then, of course, we changed the name. So you can see here the beginning of some sketches that she did with a sketching tool, and how we present the information that in the background was being collected by the team that was doing the graph, if you remember. So we were still collecting that information from part 4 of the Urantia book. That took probably over a year to do. So that was going on, and then we started this with Lisa. And then eventually we came up with a lot of prototype features, and we had to choose. And so we narrowed it down. And once we narrowed down to this, we said, okay, here we can start. So you can see here already something called research mode, a blog, an about us page, and something called journey. And this is actually what we implemented. So this is October 2022. At the end of the design phase, we had this idea of we want to build this. And we said, we're going to do everything on the left, and we're going to keep everything on the right for phase 2. So we called the left-hand side of this graph MVP 1, the first MVP. And I remind you that MVP is a minimum viable product. Of course, what you will see today is not a minimum viable product already. It's a full product, but we did many, many iterations in between and had many discussions about how we can go about it. So this was the time where we needed somebody who can make this happen in code, and that's where Fraser came to be, to our team. And then with Fraser, we developed an actual development plan with screens and flows, and this is how you develop software. So this is what we started doing. Lisa and Fraser and myself started doing that, so we can have some kind of an idea of where we're going and how do we start and how do we incrementally develop things and test them. And it took us a whole year to do this. Now, you can see here on the top right, this is from my Mac, November 15th. It doesn't say what year it is, but I can tell you it's November 15th, 2022. So this is exactly 1 year ago. At noon, my time, Fraser sent me a link and he said, go take a look. And you can see over there in the browser something scribbly. That means nothing. And I looked at it and I took a screenshot and I saved it on my computer. And I said, oh, we have a long way to go. But this is the first thing that we've actually developed from that plan. And from there, we started working. So these designs are the first iteration. This is December. And you can see on the right a way to display a lot of information. And I'm going to tie it back to you to the knowledge graph that we showed you before, the circles and the lines, because every circle on that graph is a page in this app, or will be a page in this app. This is how these two things are connected. And this is what differentiates this app from, let's say, Wikipedia or any other app like that, because that computer model is underneath. And when we show you the demo, Mike will tell you exactly how these things are related. So Lisa started developing a visualization of this is what we call the research mode, which later we renamed discovery mode. And then you can see all these people, which of course are coming from part 4 of the Urantia book. And then you can see a piece. And this is before we started writing. Actually, the first piece was the Jesus piece, and Chris started that in August of 2022. So like I said, we were doing things in parallel. So while we were designing and data curating the graph, Chris already started writing, and then more people joined the writing team. So, and eventually, of course, everything came together. And here you can see already that we can have a timeline of the life of Judas, because we can get all those dates from the Urantia book and connect them to Judas. And this is what makes this unique, the fact that we have this data model. So these are the first screens, December. By the time I went to the US in late March, we wanted to have a demo. So Lisa and January sat together and we had a demo that is not real software. It's like a demo program, but it works like the real software. And she had it ready for March. And we actually released it when I came back from the States for the Jubilee of Jubilees on May 18th, 2023. So that's when we let people start playing with it. And so this is the way we were seeing the software on May 2023, but the actual software was not as advanced as this. We needed more time to develop the actual software. So this is really, Figma is the software that we use to do screen designs. Then we started getting some pushback about the name. So we spent a few weeks coming up with a lot of names and having a few votes. Everybody from the audience got a chance to vote, and we tallied those votes. And eventually we said, okay, we're going to change the name to Discover Jesus. So we did that in June. Now, a little bit about the scope. You can see on the right over 1,000 pages. Remember, each one of those circles in that graph that I showed you in the beginning eventually potentially can become a page. We're not going to write about each one of those because some of them don't have enough information, but we do have potentially over 1,000 pages. I think it's going to be less, probably around 600 or 700. And as of today, we have completed 150 of those. So we have paintings and essays for 150 pages, which is quite amazing. This represents a tremendous effort of the writing team and Mike and Andre editing and Gary painting. So this is an amazing, amazing achievement that we have so much content. And thank you so much, everybody, for doing this. A little bit about the writing process. In step one, we are basically mapping that knowledge graph, the circles, to pages, and then each page is an essay. So just to be clear, these pages are not quotes from the Urantia book put together. These are pieces of not fiction, but it's an essay written from scratch by one of our team members, utilizing anything that they want, but mostly, of course, part 4 of the Urantia book. So these are new pieces, new secondary works. We do keep a lot of references, and you can see that in the demo, but we don't put a lot of quotes from the Urantia book on the page. And the reason is this product is not intended for Urantia book students. Of course, many Urantia book students are going to use it and enjoy it, but it's intended for people who don't necessarily know the jargon or the actual, the language of the Urantia book is not modern. It is what it is. And we wanted something that is accessible to the younger generations. So these are unique pieces written from scratch. So once that team member chooses a node in that knowledge graph, which is step 1, they write a draft, then Mike and Andre revise it, and that's step 3. In step 4, we call this underline. It's basically looking at this piece and all the text that was written and saying, okay, where can I put a hyperlink that goes to another piece, that basically goes to another circle on that huge graph of thousands of circles, or another page in the app. All of these things are the same, and you will see in the app that you have light blue words when you put the mouse on them, they get an orange line underneath. And that means if you click on that, you will go to another page and you will be able to read another piece. So we have to collect that information, and it is meticulously collected by Mike. So he reads every piece, and he has a huge table, and maybe he can show it, where all of those pieces, the ones we already written and the ones we will write, and he basically decides, okay, here I can put a link, and so this link will either now or in the future lead to another page. And all those links are already there, but if we haven't published the target essay, then that link is dormant. You won't be able to see it. But when we publish that, all of those links magically will appear in all of the pieces where they were dormant. So we're doing all this work ahead of time so that when we publish something new, it is already linked to everything else that it has to be linked to. And that's a lot of work. And Mike has been spending hundreds of hours doing this. Once we've done all of this, we actually publish, which means we just click a button and it goes live. And so we will keep publishing, from those 150 to 600 or 700. So we have still a ways to go writing. And then the whole publishing process is already set up. What I do want to say is this: everybody who is writing is a long-time reader and student of the Urantia book. And these pieces are editorialized. So we're not going to let other people write for this app. This is going to be something that we editorially decide what to write. There's a consistency in tone, in the use of wording, terminology. We're trying to keep it jargon-free. So for example, you might see the word thought adjuster, but you also might see something like the indwelling spirit, which is a lot more accessible and of course means pretty much the same. So this is our writing process. There is an onboarding process, and everybody who joins the team gets training from Mike. We have templates, we have a production system, so it's very organized. And so, for example, this is the template that I think Gary wrote a while back, and everybody starts from this document. I will say that you don't have to have a lot of knowledge in technology. All you need to do, if you want to join this team, or anybody you know wants to join, they need to be able to work on a Google document. That's all. Everything else is taken care of by other team members. So, like I said, we started writing in August, 15 months ago. What I want to show you now is, I think I have to share with sound. This is a video we made a little while ago that shows some of the artwork that Gary painted. So I'm going to show you now this video in case you haven't seen it.
There's no sound yet.
Sound?
No, at least for me.
Yeah, there's no sound to it, Gabriel.
No sound.
You can just sing if you want, Gabriel. That'd be good.
I'm not going to sing. I'm going to try again. I think I did it, but I need to do share screen.
Great
Oh,
artwork, though. Really great
yeah,
artwork.
no. I want you to hear the music. Here it is. I want to start from the beginning. It is great artwork. I want to say I don't know if Gary wants to say a few words if you're still here. Are you here, Gary? You want to say something?
I'm here. Hello, everyone. I'm still working on these. There's a lot more to do. It's a lot of fun and also quite a challenge to try to encapsulate these events or capture the essence of these people. And it takes a lot of reflection time, and I'm really fortunate to have the buttressing of the AI program to help build a lot of these images, at least baseline for them. But it's still quite a long process. But it's seeing them in the app is it really adds a lot of gratification for me, because working alongside those essays that everybody's working so hard on, it really gives a great context to them. So it at this video here, I don't know how many images are there, but I've made a lot more since. If you're venturing through the app, you'll see a lot more, and it's a continual progress with this. So
They're
it's
amazing.
quite something.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
really like, art depiction of Jesus because it's usually somber and a weak looking image. I love these images.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and I noticed somebody mentioned about it, making sure that he looks happy. Is that because that's one of the things he left in his path was a joyful feeling with anybody who got into contact with him. So yeah, I'm working on that too. It's so tricky, and if you'll notice that the interpretations of him are somewhat different, and that's kind of intentional because I don't want to be definitive. He certainly had more of a Middle Eastern complexion, and he certainly was. Your book points out quite clearly that he was a robust genetic specimen, and so there was nothing meek about him. In fact, the likelihood is that he captured the imagination of people because he was so gentle and loving and tolerant, and also physically incredibly had a huge presence, but also spiritually had a huge presence, and that like an anchor that would draw everybody near. So I think it's good to portray him in that way, that he could deal with these situations. When you read the essays, if you read the Urantia story about him, just imagine how he managed his way through these situations with nobility and tolerance and thoughtfulness and the precision of his adherence to the love of God and the love of the brotherhood of man. I'm trying to channel that when I'm building these images, and it's building up quite nicely as an ensemble. But I'm only doing a small part of this, so I'm very appreciative to be part of it. So thanks everyone.
Cheers.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, the video is basically maybe a third or maybe half of what Gary has painted. I made the video a couple months ago. So next is Mike, and Mike has been leading the development for the last few months and editing and managing the team and writers conferences. So he's been taking a lot on his shoulders, and I'm very, very grateful. And it's been great joy to work with you and Fraser. So take it away.
Thank you, Gabriel. I'm excited to share the live website with all of you. It is at discoverjesus.app, .app. That's the URL. And what I'll be showing you will take probably 10 minutes, so just check on the time. It won't take a long time to walk you through some of the navigational pieces that are here. So we'll have time for Q&A afterwards. But of course, if something pops up and you want to ask, feel free to do that as we go along. So this is the landing page when you go to discoverjesus.app. I do predict, I'm not sure Gabriel is as confident that we will someday own discoverjesus.com as the more common URL, but that's a lot of money to purchase. So for now, this is our website. When you come here, you'll see the top menu involves the logo, which is our homepage, a search bar, a journey mode, a discovery mode that shows 4 categories, an about us page, and then what looks to be like a login, which eventually there will be login options that allow folks to sign in, save their progress, have a light and dark mode in different languages, and for now is a pay it forward page for folks to choose. So likely what most folks will pick when they first land on our site is the discovery mode. I'll click on that in a moment, but I'll just show you the rest of the homepage. We have some most popular featured cards, Jesus and Judas, featured topics, persons, events, locations. We have a landing page and a slide here for the journey mode, and then we have what's coming up in the future that Gabriel's already spoken to. So when we go to the discovery mode in the middle, that big yellow button, it brings us to the people landing page. And this page reflects of those nodes, it reflects persons, it reflects groups and relationships. Mostly right now, it's just people, individuals, but you'll see a few relationships like Jesus and James, and you'll see a few groups as well, like Lazarus, Martha, and Mary. So this is what we have created to date that have images. There we have other essays that have been written by the writers that are pending images or editing. So we're blessed in a way to have enough writers and writing prolifically enough that they're staying ahead of Gary and I on the editing and painting phases. So let's look at one of these if we can, and one that I particularly love the painting of by Gary, and that's Lazarus. So when we click into the detail page, you'll see who could this be other than Jesus's lifelong friend, right? Such a joyful expression and face. And as we've described, as you read through the essay, this is a short description here at the top, and we have tags that I'll demonstrate in a moment. And then we have these hyperlinks that go to other connected nodes and essays, so that if a reader isn't familiar or is curious, they can click on this, and eventually there will be a pop-up that's similar to Wikipedia that will highlight without necessarily needing to click over to the other essay. But if somebody comes across a term and they're not sure, that they can click on it and they can go directly to that essay and kind of weave their own storyline. On the right-hand side of the page, in addition to the picture, we have a table of contents that allows, particularly in longer essays, for readers to click and jump link into that portion of the essay. We have a timeline of related events. You might wonder, for astute readers, for example, Jesus spends the night in prison with Jude. Well, what does that have to do with Lazarus? Well, he was supposed to meet up with Lazarus on that particular trip, but it was interrupted by Jude being thrown in jail. So that's why that's there. We have related people and related topics. We have our contributors. So in this case, we have Mary Jo as the writer, Andre as the editor, and Gary as the painter. And then we have our sources and references, which are predominantly the Urantia book. We have some cross-references to the Bible. This goes to Bible Hub. When there are some cross-references to the Untold Story of Jesus, we'll list the page number. And then these would be to Wikipedia or Truthbook are often our external references, probably 90% of the time. So that's the detail page. If we go back to the top menu, we can click on events as our next big category. And this probably has the most essays written. As you might remember from Gabriel's presentation, there's 410 possible events that we might write to. We're not going to write to that many. We have about 61 at the moment. And we have a nice timeline that shows you what events happened in what year. So for example, we have in 8 BCE, Gabriel's announcement to Mary and Gabriel appearing to Elizabeth. We all know what happens in 7 BCE with the birth and infancy of Jesus. We could jump ahead to 1 CE, where Jesus' 7th year, he had the accidental fall down the staircase. And we could jump as one more example to 7 CE, when he was 13 or in his 13th year and went to his first Passover, and then he had the heavenly messenger bring him a message that he should begin to be about his Father's business. So when you're in these sub years, you can click on the year itself that you're in to go back out, or you can click on the all button, and that'll bring you back to all of the years without the filter. So a couple different ways to navigate that. If we were to click on this essay, Jesus' first Passover, I want to just demonstrate one of the embedded links. Let's say we were wanting to learn more about the visit by a celestial being. And so that would bring us directly to that essay with the image. And again, you could hop around as a reader in that way. And of course, if you wanted to go back to the essay that you were on, you could click the back button. And let's go, if we can, then back to our main menu, and we'll look at locations or places. In this case, the category itself includes locations and objects. There's not too many inanimate objects, but it's often like the home of Lazarus, or the home of the Marks, Mary Mark and the Mark family. So in this case, we have beautiful images from Gary. Each of them are stupendous, depicting these locations. And as we go to the last category of topics, these are articles that perhaps take the most work by the writers, because the content is spread throughout part 4, unlike an event, which tends to be in a discrete portion of the Urantia book. Topics are there because the content might be in various places throughout the book and might pull in from occasional external references. So you can see lots of rich topics here: concepts of the expected Messiah, fruits of the Spirit, the indwelling Spirit of God, which was Jesus's term for the thought adjuster as he spoke with people in his time on earth. And so that's one of our ways, as Gabriel mentioned, to kind of keep this as accessible as possible to those who are not Urantia book readers. When we move into content, for example, like Jesus's personalized indwelling Spirit, we'll probably reference in here the thought adjuster specifically. And then we have the important topic of what is the Urantia book, for those who are new to this site and wonder, where are you getting all this information from? So we have a nice essay there as well. I'll demonstrate a tag by going into why are we confronted with unfair life situations. So for example, if you click a tag such as life lessons, it will bring up all of the essays that have a similar theme to life lessons. And in this case, we have 8 essays so far that have been tagged in this category. So it's another way you can click directly from the cards or from the essays. Any tag is like a search category that have essays in common with that particular tag. If we go up to the search bar, we could type in born, for example, when was Jesus born? So we just type in the keyword born, and we can see, oh, here's the birth in infancy of Jesus. And you do have to hit enter to get that search result. And then you can click into an essay. And if you like, you can go back to where you were. In addition, for the final part of the demo, I just want to show these last few menu items up here at the top. So the journey mode will eventually have some of what Lisa had created in terms of an interactive experience that has quizzes and outcomes and kind of reading engagement. Right now, it's meant to kind of resemble a book. So we have chapters, we have sections, and then each of these we have read times, like 8 minutes, or various estimates of how long each chapter would take to read. And it's more image intense, as Gary knows, because I had to ask for a lot of images for Journey. This is just our first journey, which is Jesus's overview of his life. And so each of these, if you click on the next button, will take you through these various sections of each chapter with an overview that is in the Jesus Person essay. And these are chapter headings. And again, as you scroll through, you can just get a sense for how you might navigate a slightly more interactive storybook-like version of an overview of Jesus's life. You can interact and move back and forth with back arrows, or click any section you want. You can go back to the chapter heading, or you can go back to the chapter overview by clicking on the top left. So the last two menus to show you include the About Us page that talks a little bit about the Center for Unity, what we believe, spiritual inclusivity. We have nice images and descriptions of many of the contributors, not all, but those who responded to our request and with an image. And we have this graph that Gabriel showed. We have a few FAQs, and this will continue to evolve as we get questions. And then we have this pay it forward page over here on the top right, where folks can donate to our development costs. Again, a little bit more about how we're going to continue to build content, increase our access, and our commitment to remaining ad-free. At the very bottom in this footer of all pages, you'll see a feedback link that allows you or other readers to provide input to us, share your experience and your insights. So you can give us some of your direct information if you have feedback on anything that you see. We're constantly looking to improve the product. And then there are some navigational videos. This is the last piece that Gabriel has made that sits in a YouTube playlist. So here you could do kind of what I just walked you all through, which is a navigational tour of the app itself, and then some smaller, shorter videos if you're curious about any of the particular features like search or the journey mode or about us, etc. So that is my demo. Just going to quickly scan through the chat to see if I don't see anything.
You show the kebab, the share link. That's important.
Yes, thank you. So if I go back to a specific essay, this symbol up here, these three dots, allow you to copy the link for any of the individual page. So it puts it into your clipboard, and then you could share this. I'll just use it as a paste function and show you that. That would bring you back to the same page. So that's one way that you can share with others or put it into social media or into an email, or however you choose that you might want to share a page with someone else. Anything else that I missed, Gabriel, or others that you want me to show?
I want to share one thing with you. This is a website, so you don't need to download anything. Right now, it doesn't run very well on phones because the screen size is very small, and we have to create a new version or an adapted version that looks okay on a phone or great on a phone. So for now, if you try this on your phone, you will get a message that it's coming soon, and we're working on it. But you don't have to download anything. So if you send that link in an email or a WhatsApp or a messenger message, somebody can click on it from their computer now and see exactly what you're seeing. And the main reason we did this is because everything that we wrote is going to be indexed by Google. And not just that, every future large language model company that scrapes the internet will find this material. And so these pieces with information coming from the Urantia book is going to find its way to places I don't even know. And you could not do this if it was an app on the App Store or the Google Play Store, because then the content is closed. So this allows you to share the link, like Mike said, and you can put it in an email or you can send it in a chat message to anybody you want. And when they click on this from their computer, they will see exactly the same. You don't need to sign. You don't need to give us passwords or emails or anything. This is free for anybody to use, and it costs nothing.
Yeah, and I was just going to clarify we set the minimum screen size at about 10 inches or the pixel equivalent. So until we have that mobile friendly version up, this will work on pretty much any iPad or tablet that has at least a 10-inch screen or larger. But we're hoping we don't have to wait too long for mobile because we know everyone uses their phones, and we're anxious to have that mode ready for others.
Big thank you, Mike.
It was a pleasure and my joy to do this work. I couldn't have imagined what it was like at the beginning, but I'm excited for it to continue to grow and develop, and for us to make it even more comprehensive.
This is amazing, guys. This is totally amazing. Great job.
Thank you.
Pretty awesome.
Absolutely. I think it's wow. Brilliant vision and well executed. Those are hard to do at the same time sometimes.
Mike, did you say it was gonna be a mobile app or it's just gonna be able to be viewed on a mobile phone?
It'll just be able to be viewed on a mobile phone. You won't have to download an app. So you'll continue to click to a website, but that website will be optimized and will detect if you're viewing it on a phone so that it will look slightly different so that it's a better experience on a phone versus on a desktop or a bigger screen. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, this is Mark. Could I comment, Mike?
Yes.
What has been strong in my soul in the past several months is to share the question, what does it truly mean for me to follow Jesus? And that's coming up in an essay I'm going to have published. For anybody who knows of Jesus, and now more because of this, anywhere in the world, they like this guy, Jesus, then they can start thinking about their lives. So what does it truly mean for me to follow Jesus is going to become more important because of your work here. And a supporting question, what do I have to give up to truly follow Jesus? And another supporting question, what should I add to my life? And so this app that you're doing, Mike, and everybody in the whole team is a wonderful takeoff tool for people to personally assess what they need to do. I'm done.
Yeah, we certainly hope so. Thank you.
I have a question. Any thoughts on Hebrew translation, given everything that's going on in Israel and the historical events?
I think I'm going to have to take that one. Yes, we will translate this to Hebrew. I will explain to you that basically anybody who speaks a second language and writes decently in a second language, but you don't need to be a translator nowadays to translate, because we have a translation AI. And so we put the English source in this AI and we get Hebrew, Spanish, any language you want. And then what we're looking for is for people who can actually edit the translation so it sounds great in the target language, but they don't need to start from scratch, which is the most difficult thing for a translator to do. And I know, because I have done that for a while. Yeah, we will do Hebrew as well, but it's still a lot of work. So it's not going to be ready anytime soon. But yes, I hope that we can, in a year or two, release 5 or 6 or 10 languages, the primary languages where most people, we can cover them. And in time, any language that the Urantia book has been translated to, we want to have this translated to. So, it's 20 some languages already. So we're going to do them all in time.
Thank you. You've done some amazing work already. So thanks for for everything.
Totally
Uh,
amazing.
Marvin has raised his hand.
Yeah, just a quick one. First of all, what you've done so far is astounding. It's just gorgeous and just well done in every parameter. So, kudos to you. And it's very exciting to see this is really just the beginning of something that can really grow and develop and gain momentum. And I think it will interface and bring people to the revelation itself and to all of the attendant ministries that people on many fronts are growing. One very granular detail question, and to some extent it's inevitable that all the images look variations on Caucasian by and large, with very little exception, because it's in the Holy Land and that's what was there. But especially in the trip to Rome, would it be possible to have a little more racial variety, to see African images and Asian images
Indian.
a little more? Yeah, Indian images a little more. Just so, because you're going to be attracting people from all around the world, and it would be nice just for a sense of affinity to see your own people reflected in some of the images. That's all.
This sounds good to me, and that's exactly what we'll do. But good call out, Marvin.
Yeah.
We had a lot of discussions about this, and also with Pato and Antoinette, who are very passionate about portraying Jesus in a, let's say, an accurate way. And what we landed on is he was Mediterranean, and that's large enough. You have Mediterranean. I'm not Mediterranean. My ancestors come from Russia. The people who live around the Mediterranean, especially when they lived here 2,000 years ago, they were mostly outdoors. They were pretty much brown. They were baked. They were tanned. So we try to, and I cannot speak for Gary and what he's doing in the prompts, but I think we were trying to get a Mediterranean look of this area, which is really a melting pot, because genetically the Levant is an intersection of a lot of races over millennia. But this is a great suggestion, so I'm going to write it down. And yeah,
I think you were very successful. I mean, the images are exquisite, and they look very much what you tried to just describe. It's really primarily in the journey to Rome with Ganid and Ganid, where he encounters people from many different racial backgrounds, where you have an opportunity to introduce some variation. That's all.
Yeah, I also think about Jesus working at sort of the caravan station, where he got to meet many people. That would be another opportunity and a place to introduce people from around the world.
Yeah.
Lisa, you want to show? Do you really want to show the video, or you just want to talk about it? It's up to you. I have the video.
I don't need to show the video, but I will. I'll
Okay.
put it here. So obviously it's going to be free, and it's going to be ad free, and we have the pay it forward button for those that want to contribute to it, because as Gabriel mentioned, it requires funds. There are things we have to pay for. There are things that have to be purchased. There are some people's skills that we have to pay, even when it's below market value. So we have a opportunity from now through December 31st. Someone has given us a matching grant of $100,000. So any gift that is given will be matched. So especially for this next month and a half, we're really pushing. We want to be good stewards of that opportunity and take advantage of that matching gift if we can. We, in our minds, we call it accessing it. And I know that this is an opportunity for anyone who is thinking about being able to help us out in any fashion. If you can donate to us in a monthly fashion, that helps us as well. If you donate at a monthly amount, the matching gift will give us 12 times that amount immediately. So if you were to give $25 a month, we get $300 from the matching gift immediately.
And do you accept credit cards and PayPal?
Credit cards is preferred. We had a PayPal account when they originally started, and it's very wonky. So we're trying to transition away from credit card, and we have a different system. I put a link in the chat there. And if you want to share that link to anybody, and say if you have a little bit that you could donate to help the Center for Unity out, get this app to more people and get it out there. I cannot tell you how teary I get anytime I am looking at any of these images or playing around with the app at all. I have been so excited for this to launch and so appreciative. So many people have contributed and helped get this going. And I know in my heart of hearts that we have been told that if I am lifted up, I will draw everyone to me. And what we're doing is trying to lift up the person of Jesus so that people can discover him and develop their own personal religion and find God and have that part in all of the invisible religion that we're all a part of. So we deeply, deeply appreciate all of your help and your contributions. And we celebrate every time anyone is able to help us out. So thank you so much for your support, for being here today, for watching this. It's invaluable and we appreciate it. We're part of a team.
Lisa?
Team Jesus.
It is Jesus. Yes, Diane, hi.
Hi, beautiful. Are you on your way to reaching your goal financially?
We're getting there. We're getting there. I'll let Rick Lyon talk to that. He's got an updated amount. I think we're going to get there. I'm very excited that we're going to be able to access all of these matching funds. I think it is within reach. So I'll turn it over to Rick if he wants to give us an update.
Sure. Thanks, Lisa. And thanks for the question. Yes, we have, in fact, today we received a $10,000 donation that will then get doubled, of course. So we are currently at 59% of our matching fund. So we still have, so that's like, $59,000 that we've received from the matching fund itself. So we've still got, what's that, 43 to go or whatever. So, yep, there's the matching fund available. And, most everyone has contributed generously with this, and we greatly appreciate all the prayers and the support, the kind words that we get, and the donations, of course, make all this happen. So, but if I can just take a moment here, because part of what I do is the fundraising aspect. I got a couple things I'd like to show you real quick. I think I can pin myself here and make myself bigger, but I want to show you this. These are a couple of ornaments that we have. Let me unblur myself, sorry. So these are ornaments that are available. They have, you can hang them on a tree or whatever you want to do with them. They got magnets on the back, so they could be refrigerator magnets, that sort of thing. And then the other thing that we're doing is, you've seen all the artwork. We've got a new calendar that's available. What we'd like to do with this is anybody that between now and the end of the year would donate $100 or more, we'll get a free calendar.
Hey.
I'll show you this real quick.
They look like scenes from a movie.
Yeah. All thanks to Gary. Well, this is all Gary stuff. That's it. So that's we'd like to do that like as a fundraising thing.
Send
So
one to the Pope.
the Pope
Yeah,
is
right,
on
has.
our target list, don't worry. So
I think he just fired somebody today, didn't he? I was just reading the news.
It's a couple days ago.
Oh, was it? A little late.
Yeah, the guy had it coming.
It's interesting that you say that because please keep putting that thought out into the universe because we would like to get to the Pope. So
I've heard he already has a book.
I think he's got several copies. So
Yeah, yeah.
Quick question, and it's probably I just missed it, but is there a link and how prominently is it displayed that takes people to the entire searchable text of the Urantia book?
Yeah, the Urantia book is mentioned, and every time you see a big orange button that says sources and references, when you click on that, you will see blue links. Each one of those goes live to the foundation website to that specific paragraph. And in the video that I show this, I scroll up so that you can see that this is a website and you've got languages and the entire Urantia book there. So it goes straight into the read mode of the Urantia Foundation's website. So there's hundreds of those links around the app.
Let the seraphim sing.
I keep thinking about the imagery of Jesus saying that when you want to open the door, you knock, you don't break the wood down. So we are making a very attractive door here for everybody to knock and enter. And hopefully they will encounter that true religion that will open their heart up and connect them to that fragment within them.
I'll just mention in the forward-looking vein that we're in. Again, I think we've estimated that maybe we're 1/4 to 1/3 of the way through our writing, and Gabriel had mentioned this tool that I use that I'll just show you quickly on screen. You won't be able to read much, but it is all of the node titles that essays can be written to, and it looks a little bit like this. And so this basically reflects everything that I'm tracking as we continue to write to the various events and people and dates and categories. So, you know, in case you're wondering.
I was thinking, Mike, while you were talking earlier, when you said that you didn't know what it was going to look like before you started, but if you would have known that it was as much work as it's been, would you have said yes?
Absolutely. Yeah, I still would have said yes. I might have been disappointed if it was that easy. I don't know, but there are no shortcuts, right? We learned that from the Urantia book.
There are
So,
no shortcuts, my friend.
Roland, do you have a question? I think Roland's got his hand up.
Yeah, Roland wants to talk about that point exactly. Go ahead.
No,
Did I steal your thunder?
who's up next?
You, Roland, you can go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Geez, this is utterly fantastic. Beyond my imagination. Just everybody's done a wonderful job, and I'm just glad I've been able to contribute and continue. I'll continue to contribute as long as I can, adding more and more to it. But I had a question. If some young person is looking at all this, and all of a sudden they decide, I want to talk to somebody about this, or I want to attend a study group or something. Is there a way to for them to get connected?
That's a great question, and I'm going to show you one more slide from a different presentation, and and maybe it's a good segue into, let's see if I can find it. I gave us a workshop at the last IC in Chicago, and I showed this slide. So let's do that. So we, if we zoom out to see the big picture of the Center for Unity's ministry, we're doing a few things at the same time, and each one of those projects has a different track and timeline. So Stephen here is working on a cinematic version of part 4 of the Urantia book and other aspects. And so that's going on for a long time. Rick and Stephen and I are working on what we call the Jesus Experience, which one of its manifestations is what we used to call the museum, but now we've changed its name. And that's a venue in Israel on the Sea of Galilee. So that's a huge project that is parallel to all of this. And at the same time, what I want to show you in this slide with a lot of logos is where we see this web app being a part of something bigger. And what is that something bigger? And so that question that you just asked is really good segue. We are thinking of our next project is called Shared Journeys. And it answers the need of people who are on a spiritual journey to be doing this with other people. And there's many ways where this could be done. I don't want to use the words guru or counselor or tutor or mentor. All those words may apply, but they're not really relevant. What we want to do is create a platform where people can share their spiritual journeys and meet other people. Sometimes they will be the ones helping another person, and sometimes they will be the ones being helped by another person. We want to create that environment. And so we see this plan where we will have on the left side different types of content, mostly video, that are going to engage younger people that are on a spiritual journey and are looking for something, are looking for exactly what you just said. I want to talk to somebody. I want to ask somebody a question. And they might not necessarily look for a study group, and they might not necessarily want to do a study of the Urantia book. They might have different questions. So we'd like to be in a position to serve these people. And then, so if you now look at the Discover Jesus web app, everything we just showed is just one part of this service. This part is the part where we tell you more about Jesus, his life teachings, his ministry. Why was he important as a person? And if you're on a spiritual journey, why is it important for you, and how you can benefit from learning more about this particular spiritual person? Now, some of you may know that we've been working on a chatbot, which is called the Ask Jesus chatbot. So this OpenAI logo represents chatbot technology, where you can actually ask a chatbot something that you would ask Jesus if you had a chance to see him. And of course, it's nothing like asking Jesus, but it's a good approximation with the technology we have today. And the chatbot that we have programmed is based on the Urantia book. It has the entire Urantia book in its memory. So when you're asking it a question, it basically reads the Urantia book in the background and is trying to get as much information that is relevant to that question. It's my vision on this project, the Ask Jesus, is to have a very, very astute, advanced student of the Urantia book that, of course, remembers the entire Urantia book by heart because it's a computer and can have a conversation with you. This is where the technology is going, and it's already possible. So our first version is very, very simple. It's not able to have a conversation yet, and it doesn't get a lot of the things accurately, but we're working on different versions. So all of this in this middle column is what we call discovering, is where a person on a journey wants to interact with content. And so we will provide him with access to the Urantia book, to a chatbot, to this web app. And this logo of a box of chocolates is another project that we're thinking of, which is a way to package spiritual teachings. We're not exactly sure where this is going, but we know we want to do something along those lines. So in this column, you have content in general. And then the idea would be to help people go to the right and interact. And this is where they start meeting people. And so you can have Zoom workshops, you can have a radio podcast that we do live, something like what Jim is doing, but instead of it being a broadcast, it could be an X or Twitter space where you can bring people and you can open the mic and ask. So it's like a radio show, and then it can become a podcast. This is going to be the center of this platform, and you might not know this icon, but it's called Discord, DISCORD, and it's a technology that a lot of young people use to interact in a community. So it's not really a social media platform because it's much more managed and administered and a lot more focused on something. But you can set up a Discord channel for any topic or any type of community, and you can manage it in a way that is interactive, a lot more interactive and a lot more safe and secure than a Facebook group or a WhatsApp group or something like that, which is a whole bunch of messages, and it's very hard to find something there. So this technology is going to be the heart of this shared journeys platform. And we are really building now the little pieces. So the web app that you saw, the chatbot, this box of chocolate workshop, videos that we're creating now. This is where we're going in the next 2-3 years. This is the framework of what the Center for Unity's ministry in this area is going to be doing. Again, we're working on cinematic, we're working on the experience. These are huge projects. But we can do all this together because there's people working on each one of those separately from all the others. And we have project managers for each. And we're raising funds for the cinematic separately. The way financing for movies is obtained. And we're going to start a crowdfunding campaign, a global crowdfunding campaign for the experience. And we're going to approach non-Urantians to help us build something in Israel and maybe something that can be shipped around the world, like the Van Gogh experience. So imagine you can have a Jesus experience that is immersive, and you can go in London and Paris and Zurich, in Boston, in Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, walk into a venue and experience Jesus in a way you haven't experienced before. So all of these things are happening in parallel. But I hope I answered the question. We have a framework for where this is going, and the small pieces are part of a bigger picture.
And is up again. And so is Pat.
So Marvin and then Patrick.
Well, I've spoken a couple of times. I'll yield to Patrick and then I'll go afterwards.
Okay. Hi, Patrick. We can't hear you.
I can't hear.
No, we can't hear you, Patrick.
Just barely.
Barely. Maybe you can type your question because the connection or the microphone is very noisy.
Put the microphone up to your mouth.
wanted to appreciate each and everybody who has really made it to this extent. I'm from Uganda, and I'm so happy that you are really thinking about making sure that in your plans, including the young people, because we believe that from you, we are the young kids that are growing. So as you grow and as you plan for us, we are also able to move in your footsteps. So when I've been listening, I've been hearing about plans, about the young people sharing their spiritual journey, which is a very fantastic thing, and which I'm also in that space. So I just wanted to appreciate the people who have done this, because I know it hasn't been an easy journey since 2020 up to today. So when we have launched it, and I must appreciate everyone who has really been part of this. I'm ready to make sure that we continue as young people, and I will make sure that in that way, I also let other people to know more about the Ilancia book, because in Uganda, I realize that actually most of my fellow people really don't know what is in the Ilancia book. For instance, paper 4 that talks about the teachings of Jesus Christ. I love it so much. And it's basically.
Patrick, we were getting a lot of feedback. So
okay.
Putting on the mute, but I heard about your love for Jesus, and I heard about wanting to share this with other young people in Uganda. Thank you so very much. Blessings on you, brother.
We want to go to Diane. Diane, do you still have a question?
Marvin is before me.
Oh, okay. Yes.
I'll try to be brief. This sort of relates to two of the sectors that you put up on the screen, Gabriel, the informational or the content sharing, but also largely the interactive. One of my great passions, and I know Diane is similar in this, is the power, the potency of the what Jesus referred to as what the people of another age will reference as the new and higher symbolism, which is spiritual family, as the gathering symbolism around which people from every culture can join and feel part of something much larger, the family of God. And so my question to Mike, to some extent, is in those content areas, to what extent is the spiritual family concept prominent in the content areas? And then what I'll say is I'd love to contribute to what the amazing work you guys have done in the interaction area as you evolve it, because I think the sense of all of us participating, young people have a sense of wanting to join something and affiliate and belong and feel nourished and fed. And out of that experience of living spiritual family relationship with God as spiritual parent and each other as sisters and brothers, which is the heart of what the Master taught, it is a tremendously bonding, affiliative kind of experience. And I think if you put that front and center, that spiritual family experience front and center in what you're doing in the interactive realm, you're going to have a very powerful result. So I'd love to contribute with you guys, and just I'll have to get in touch with you and help with that part of it.
Yeah, I'll just comment briefly, and we'd love to talk with you further, that the spiritual family, the brotherhood and sisterhood based on the fatherhood of God, comes through strongly in the narrative, clearly because it's part of one of his resonating themes throughout part 4, which is really the gospel, the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood and sisterhood of humankind. So definitely it would be hard to miss, and we try to make it as prominent as possible throughout the essays where that comes up. Thank you for the question. Diane, did you want to go next?
Yes. Yes, I would like to, just a few comments. First of all, from an observer's point of view, this has the word success written all over it, totally. And the word victory for years to come. This is the feeling I had. This is the perception I had as I was watching your work. It is incredibly professional, as much as behind the scene as at the front scene where the public sees. And it's wonderful, wonderful. And I also wanted to ask you, is it going to be possible to view this whole meeting today for all the ones who could not make it? Is there a link, or is it going to be possible to connect with one of you and have a direct link to watch the video again? And also just a little observation, when you showed Gabriel, when you showed the page where you see the microphone with the podcast, when you mentioned Jim, I just could, there was one circle missing. There should be 3 circles around the microphone. So that was just a little humor, but it would complete the whole picture. And I also wanted to say, after what Marvin, you said, this is why I feel so happy when Jesus inspired me. It's already been 13 years. Lynn, you were here with us, Gaetan, when we gave birth to the United Urantia family. And we are a Urantia family, and it is wonderful to see how it is expanding more and more as a united Urantia family. And whether we pronounce the name or not, it is a fact. Jesus, Team Jesus Worldwide, we are helping to create that united Urantia family. And so it's, and also the last word is, I had this vision as I saw your project, that it's going to conquer the world in a similar way as The Chosen. It will be embraced by the world, and it is. It cannot do otherwise. It's just too good. So congratulations, everyone. And we all have our play in it, our personality, talents. So congratulations.
Thank you, Diane. It's live on Facebook, so there will be a recording on our page. And if that doesn't work, we can send you a link. I want to take the time to recognize other team members that are here that I mentioned, but I want to mention them by name. I can see that Greg is here, and he's been writing for a few months now and has been very prolific. Easy, our brother Easy, is here. He helped us in the beginning in the focus group, and he and I are working on the Ask Jesus chatbot. Basically, the first version of the chatbot is brainchild, and he's been instrumental in starting the whole process, and I've been working with him on that project. Our beloved Lisa Tao is here. She's basically designed everything you see, which then Gary painted. So they have 2 stations, one on the side of the other, and we're very blessed to have them both. Mary Jo is here. She's been writing many of the pieces. I mentioned Rick Warren and Roland, Sandra, my beloved. Shane is here from Canada, and he's been helping us in the beginning in the focus group. And yeah, so if I missed somebody, let me know. But I just wanted to say thank you to all of those team members. Every person who worked on this has gotten an email with a beautiful certificate, which of course has Gary's painting on it. So look at your mailbox, and you will find a thank you note and a beautiful thing that you can cherish with Gary's Jesus, I like to call him. So it's Gary's Jesus. that's the end of the program. If you want to ask questions, you can ask us anything else about the other projects. We next, probably not next Wednesday, probably the last Wednesday of the month, the fourth Wednesday, we have our monthly meeting and we open up the mic and everybody can ask. So that's what we have planned. Mark, you wanted to say something, or you're saying bye-bye?
Yeah, I've been trying to work through a question which probably other people are wondering about too, is how I'm going to respond to people who have got their feet anchored in doctrine. It's concrete. In the book of Revelation, there is this statement that says, whoever adds unto this, and people will fight back. And I'm just trying to, I'll probably need some counsel from this group on how to respond to those kind of objections. Thank you.
I can give you the things that I've been saying recently. There's another quote at the end of the book of John that says that the world cannot be filled with everything else that Jesus did. And so that's one of the, I don't remember the quote, but it says, you know, Jesus did many other things, and you could fill the whole world with books written about that. But the way I don't even say something about the Urantia book specifically, but when people ask me where is this coming from, or what source, then they will find that there's the Urantia book. And I once counted how many prophets are mentioned in the Old Testament, and I think it's 23. And most of them got a book in the Old Testament. There's a whole section of the Old Testament that is called the prophets, and there's many of them. And the Urantia book actually does a good work in explaining what was the evolution of the concept of deity within the Jewish people, the people of Israel, for the last 2 or 3 millennia. And each one of those prophets brought something else. There was an evolution there. And that's probably the reason why Jesus was born Jewish, because at that time in Palestine of 2,000 years ago, the Jewish people were the most advanced in that understanding of deity, I think. And so what I say to people is, if you believe that the Bible is a scripture, and each one of those prophets has brought something new, why would you think that God has stopped talking to us through different types of mediums? And so my belief personally is that this Urantia book, is just one more in those long, illustrious sequences of the way God talks to humans. And sometimes it's through people who are prophets, and then sometimes there's books. And after all those prophets came Guru Nanak for the Sikh, and came Muhammad for the Muslims, and came Joseph Smith for the Mormons, and came Baha'u'llah for the Baha'i, and then came this book. So without saying anything good or bad, or any of my opinions about any of those people, you can assume that God will keep continuing to speak to us through different means. And then this is just one of those. And so if there's 500,000 words about the life and teachings of Jesus in that volume, we're using it. and it's as simple as that. I'm not telling you to believe anything. I'm just saying I feel that this is valuable. It agrees with most of the things that from other sources, but it augments our understanding. And some places, yes, it does not agree. And then you can make up your mind, if the arguments are good or not. And one thing that we probably will be very careful in all of the projects is to not step on the landmines that are going to upset a lot of people. And it doesn't mean that we cannot present what the Urantia book says about this, but we don't want to tell people what you believe is wrong and you should give it away. That doesn't work very well. And that's not what Jesus was doing. He was taking whatever that person understood correctly and was embellishing it and enlarging it. So I think that's what we're trying to do here. We probably will have some kind of a piece about the atonement. I'm not sure if we have something right now. Mike will correct me. The meaning of the cross and why was that something important. I can tell you that we almost reached the 3,000 mark of questions asked of the chatbot, which is only 8 weeks old. We've released it September 1st. It's maybe 10 weeks. So it's people ask 300 questions a week. And we have a list of all those questions. We don't know who's asking what, but we keep a list so we can keep continuing developing. And every day I'm publishing a video of a question that is of interest, and it's going on our YouTube channel, it's going on our Facebook, and it's going on TikTok. And I just do this every day and I put it out there. And many of those questions are extremely inspiring. And some people ask, did you come here to, or did you die on the cross to, I don't remember, atone for my sins or something like that. And then you can see what the chatbot answers, obviously, according to the Urantia book. And it's a beautiful argument. And, some people might get offended, but, this is what we do. We just take this material and we try to make it accessible without telling people, no, what you're thinking is wrong. Maybe there's another way of looking at this. And so we're going to do our best to augment truth.
Okay, thank you for your counsel, Gabriel. That's very good.
I always just tell those people that Jesus said, follow the truth from wherever it comes. If the truth comes from the Urantia book, which we all believe, then that's what I usually tell them. I get that too. I go to church, I go to an Episcopalian church. I don't really talk about it much, but every once in a while you find an opening where you can interject something, You can't give anybody the Urantia book to read, it seems, because it's like giving a steak to a baby. It's just too much for them. So you got to do it a little piece at a time. Anytime you can interject something, somebody tells me, how do I know this book's true? Well, Jesus said, follow the truth. That was just my 2 cents worth. But yeah, I get that too every once in a while. But it's a timing thing. You wait for the right time and then you quote something out of the book to them. And I've done that. A lady I talked to a couple months ago goes to a fire and brimstone church, and they're constantly pushing the book of Revelations. It's all over. We're all going to die. We're all going to burn in hell. And that's when I kind of interject things like, you believe in hell? Oh, yeah. Well, where is it? And I start interjecting things from the book. And she actually thought for a moment, and she's like, how do you know these things? I kind of wanted to tell her, well, I drink bourbon and I know things. But I wasn't going to mention the Urantia book, but I made her think. She did think. And that's what we got to do with these kind of people, in my opinion.
Thank you.
No, you're right, David. And I think that the people that are sort of rigid and afraid and have a calcified religion, my biggest encouragement to them is that just, if you believe that the Holy Spirit lives in you, rather than calling it the Spirit of truth, I call it the Holy Spirit. Just ask the Holy Spirit to guide you. And if you feel fear coming up in you, then perfect love casts out fear. So that's not perfect love. So just live in love, and you don't need to be afraid. You don't need to be afraid. And if you read something that strikes you as false, then reject it, right? So I love your approach.
I just wanted to make her comfortable, and that's what I'm trying to do when I talk to these people, is that there's like this mentality, and reading about Jesus and his life and some of the things that he said about organized religion and stuff, I kind of draw from that and try to just make them think about what they're saying.
Yes.
Good.
Oh, I have a point I'd like to share with you guys.
Think
About a month.
Oh, go ahead, George. Go ahead.
Okay. So about a month ago, I was at the Saturday morning breakfast. We call it the Romeo Club. That stands for Really Old Men Eating Out. So
Good
anyway,
one.
it's a good social gathering. So one of the guys there, and I don't know who he talked with, someone had told him that I was in a cult. And of course, I don't push when somebody has a negative view, they come in with it. Well, I told him I was in a Jesus cult. And then he said, well, if you're reading anything that's not in the Bible, then you're outside the norm. And of course, that's true. It is outside the norm. But if the mentality that people have, if they hold that, that is the Jewish mentality, because they did not accept Christ because he was outside the norm. The church is full of people who base their lives on what's in the Bible. They will not accept anything outside the norm. In that case, if everyone had done that, there would be no Christianity. There was no room for Christ. So you can't have it both ways. You have to allow room for things outside the norm, because Jesus was outside the norm. So that's what we're doing.
I love that, Greg.
Yes, that's a good direction. And if you challenge them just a little bit, not too hard, then they have to think about it. Say, Roger, think about this. If you don't accept things outside the norm, then there would be no Christianity. So you have to lighten up, loosen up, pay attention.
That's so good, George.
Thank you. Ted
So
Blaney.
these.
Go ahead, Marvin, or Ted, or
yeah, just briefly. You don't have to convince folks. I mean, bless you. You have your beliefs. That's okay. They're going to the mansion world. It's not like they're not going to get there, right? Everything will be corrected. And the other thought I have, and I love what you shared, Gabriel, I think you're right on target. Jesus always emphasized what was good in another person's belief, never bothered to attack what was wrong. But the other thought is, there's no such thing as bad publicity. The more attention that comes to the work that you guys are doing, that Center for Unity is doing, and the Ranch Book, it's all to the good. Even the negative stuff, it just gathers more attention. In fact, sometimes the negative attention gathers more people who are curious than otherwise. So not a bad thing.
And a lot of those people that put the book down or saying it's a cult or whatnot, I would bet most of them, 99% of them, have never even read the book. And I just, you haven't read the book. Have a nice day.
I see Ted has his hand up. Go for it, Ted.
Okay. Yeah, I'm expecting that you're going to also focus on the little children. Find a way that you can introduce Jesus and how he interfaced with the little children and telling the stories. We have a great need, I think, to meet the children at a young age. That's all.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's coming up on those. Yeah. Sandra.
Yeah, about that, I think that is something that is important to do. I was also working with the idea in my mind, commenting that also with my sister, which is very active, helping us. And I think, in the future is something that needs to be done. It's very important. So thank you.
Who's going to call on me? Or did I just speak?
Oh, Now
Can
you're
you
on mute.
repeat it? Paul, Georgie?
Hi, I just have a comment from Mark too and others. One of the methods that I use to remind those hardened fundamentalist Christians that the great gift at Pentecost, which was mentioned already, the Spirit that would come and lead us to all truth. And I remind those who are stuck on the fundamental aspect of the Bible being the source of that truth, that there was no Bible for the early Christians. Much like when Gabriel talks about Christianity before the church, in the same way, all of those humans who were experiencing the apostles were experiencing or open to or gifted with the Spirit of truth as we know it in detail from the Urantia teachings, but they were also experiencing the same phenomenon that the apostles and all of the 120 gathered in the room of the Pentecost room. So I've been able to make people think about that when I mention that you're forgetting about the great gift of Pentecost. What? Yeah, the Spirit will lead us to all truth. And where were they going to find the truth since there was no Bible for another 100 or 200 years or something like that? 100 years.
Excellent point.
Diane, did you have another comment for us?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that to me personally, from my personal experience, I feel that the most important thing is the love, to express the love to people, to share true, honest, heartfelt love. And when we pass information with love, it is not a competition of who wins and who loses. It's very often people will ask, where do you get all those beautiful information? And then it flows like a river. Next, you introduce the Urantia book if you feel inspired to. But the most important thing is to express the Father's love. And one of the most important teachings of Jesus, love each other as I have loved you. So that true loving spirit of brotherhood, when we feel that we are truly, truly brothers and sisters, then the fight stops and you start to hug and kiss and love. And if we can inspire people, the message passes. You know, it's in the way to do it with love. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
More questions? Well, I had a good time with you guys, but I got to go make the boss dinner. I'm retired. She's still working. I gotta go make the boss happy. I had a good time. It was great seeing you guys. Look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's probably about time for us to wrap. I think we probably covered the bases.
Yeah, you did good.
Thank you,
Bravo.
guys.
Thanks everybody for coming today.
Yeah.
Thanks for all the hard work you guys are doing on the team.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Yes. Great work.
Thank you all.
Extraordinary.
You all will be rewarded.
Hmm.
Good. Adios, Mohegans.
Adios, everybody.
A few of you hanging in there, I see. Patrick. Enjoy the fellowship. Seems you guys enjoy just being connected. There's a lot of joy in being connected. We draw strength from each other. Somebody's trying to buzz in.
Is this the right place? Am I in the right place here?
What place did you want to be in?
I'm looking for the Launch Jesus app or something.
Yes, we're at the very end.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that I'm late and I'm interrupting.
No, you're not interrupting. We're closing.
Oh, you're
the
closing.
meeting.
Oh, I missed
Yes.
it. Okay,
You-
sorry.
You must be you're on a different time frame.
I am. I
Well,
am.
Yes.
Of it, and we will share it here. The recording will be on the Facebook page and also available on our YouTube channel.
YouTube channel. And is that the same YouTube channel what is that one? Because I don't have Facebook.
Through the centerforunity.org.
Okay.
Scroll all the way down to the footer. There's a link to our YouTube channel there.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Was it a good meeting?
It was wonderful. And if you want to check it out, it's live. DiscoverJesus.app. www.discoverjesus.app.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
It's amazing what the people have been doing.
Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And some of us don't want to leave.
Goodbye, George. Thanks so much for all of your input today.
Thank you, Lisa.